Hello, welcome back to another commentary episode. This is going to be part 2 of my 2016 ECEA Sahara Sands Harescramble race. If you didn't check out the first part, I highly recommend that you do that. The link will be in the description. But just a little recap of what happened in the first episode. Basically, I got a really bad start, ended up crashing in the second or third turn, and my entire class passed me, and then the class behind me also passed me. So I'm pretty much all the way in the back of the pack, and right here I'm getting stuck in some deep sand. That's kind of whole thing, you know, Sahara Sands. Got a lot of sand out here. Anyway, so this is about halfway, 3/4 of my way through my first lap. So I'm really trying to make my way through the pack and, you know, just try to salvage as many positions as I possibly can. Right here, I'm just going through some more sandy terrain. Just got out of the woods, now into kind of the sand track area. They had a grass track, a sand track, and then the woods. The woods, as you'll see, and you saw in the previous episode, of just how tight the woods are. It was just really tight, technical, single track, which was pretty difficult, but was a lot of fun too, and it challenged me as a rider to try something new. I usually don't ride single track like this. You know, the woods that I usually ride at, they're kind of tight, but they're nothing like this. Even a couple of the riding locations that we go to, they're nothing like this. So I got to experience a whole different new terrain, whole different new form of riding. You can see how deep the ruts are, and what I actually found is what prepared me the most for this Harescramble wasn't riding in the woods. That's what I thought was going to be good. Like a week or two before I started, or before my race, I would go out into the woods, practice, you know, really just try to do as much as I possibly could of woods riding. But what I found is my time at the motocross track prepared me the most for this race, because the deep ruts, the braking bumps, the clutch control, that was all stuff that I learned while riding motocross tracks. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and I'll probably go in a little bit more in depth about everything that I learned from my first Harescramble race in a separate video. So let me know in the comments if that's something you guys want to see, kind of like what I learned from my first race, or kind of a guide to what to do for your first race. So let me know if that would be a good video. Anyway, back to the riding, back to the race that is going on right now. I am in the section of woods that it got a little bit more wide open. It's also a lot more sandy, as you can see. It's not as tight and as bumpy as the previous section that I just came from. That is because we're just about ready to enter the grass track, which is right up here. And before I actually came to this race, I was looking up YouTube videos and trying to scope out the track, and I knew that the single track in the woods was going to be the toughest part. It was going to be tight, it was going to be rough, it was going to be bumpy, it was going to be hard to pass. But I thought I could make most of my time up on the grass track. But what I found is once I came out of the woods, I was exhausted. So all I wanted to do was to kind of use the grass track as a nice little section to kind of cool down, and also maybe make up some time. But the grass track was just as rough and as bumpy as the woods were, if not more. The GoPro definitely does not do justice of how deep and how rough that grass track was. I thought it was more rough, more rutted, and way harder than the motocross track that I usually ride at, and that was something I was not expecting, because when I was talking to people on the starting line, or even just watching it on YouTube, I was like, okay, cool, there's a little grass track, sounds fun, I'll take it easy, probably isn't going to be too hard like the woods. But no, it was just as hard, if not harder. Anyway, enough about the grass track. We are in the woods, and you can see how rough these woods are again. Back there, I was hitting a little bit of a whoop section. Now I come up to this deep sand. This one guy, he's stuck over there. I take a line around him, and my back tire is just spinning and just digging into the sand, trying to get as much traction as I possibly can. But the first lap isn't even over with, and I'm already starting to get so tired just from all the whoops, the ruts, the deep sand. It is such a tough race and a tough terrain to ride. I'm just looking for when this finish line is going to show up. I knew the track was going to be long, I just wasn't sure how long. And my goal of the first lap was basically just to learn the track and then the second lap, ride a little bit faster because now I know where to go. Because the first lap, I have no idea where to go. This is my first time ever seeing this stuff. I'm just going by the trail markers and hoping that they are the right trail markers and they're going to lead me to the finish line. So I'm putting all my trust in the trail markers. But once I come to the finish line, then I'll know a little bit more about how to ride this race. And I think once I get out of the woods right here, I'm hoping that the finish line is in sight. Like I said, not really too sure where it is, but these are pretty promising signs. It's getting a little bit more wide open. You start to see more people, all the trucks, the RVs. This looks like a good sign. So I'm hoping that I'll come around this corner, the finish line will be right there, and I'll be able to start my second lap. Of course, just when I thought the finish line was in sight, I dropped down into more woods. These woods just never seem to end. But I thought this was cool. This was a little uphill, and I had all these people like guiding me on which way to go. The Harescramble community is really awesome. There was always people out there who weren't even racers. They were just spectators helping you choose which lines to go if someone was stuck, or if there was a rutted out line, there would be people telling you go the other way and just kind of guiding you on which lines to take, just so you can have a great and fun race. And I thought that was pretty cool. And as I come around this corner, I see it. The moment I have been waiting for, there is the finish line. I hear people cheering. I see the checkered flag. Actually, it's not the checkered flag. It's a yellow flag because, the race isn't finished, just the end of the first lap. Either way, I'm still pretty excited because I made it through my first lap. So I go through the pit area. They check me in, check my lap times, and now it is time to go back out there. And that's when I realized I'm so happy I've just finished the first lap. It was so tough. It was so hard. And now I got to go do it another 2 more times. Yes, this is racing, but I love it. I definitely am hooked. And yeah, let's go back out there and let's do that horrible, tough, super technical, crazy track another 2 more times. This section was actually new for me because we didn't start over here by that checkpoint area. We actually started over to the left. Can't really see it, but that's where the starting line was. So this section of trails I actually never hit before. I guess this loops around the starting area. And then this is more of the parts that I remember, that big, long, sandy track, I guess. And this is where I fell. I think this may have actually been the turn that I fell in the first video. I'm not too sure, but I decided to take a little bit different line before I went towards the outside. That time I went towards the inside, and this area is just only more rutted than it was before. When I first did the start, it was pretty rutted, and it's only getting worse from here because people just keep on riding the track and ripping through it. But my mentality was, alright, I'm on my second lap now. I sort of know where I'm going. I know the track's going to be a little bit rougher, but I'm more confident with where I'm going. The first lap, wasn't really too sure where I was going. Like I said, kind of just hoping on the trail markers to lead me to where I needed to go. But this time, I kind of remembered where to go just based on the fact that I've ridden this all before. It's the same thing when I go to the motocross track, especially if it's a new track that I haven't ridden at. The first lap, I kind of take it easy, trying to get a feel for the track, and then the second lap, I go all out because now I'm comfortable with it. Now, I wasn't able to do that here at the race because as soon as the gate drops, you gotta go. You gotta be racing. And we didn't get to track walk this or anything. The only way that I knew what this track looked like is by looking up YouTube videos, kind of like GoPro videos like this, and just trying to get a feel for what the track looked like. And I thought that would have been enough, but it definitely was. It did not prepare me enough. The only way you can really prepare for a new track or a new race at a track you've never ridden at is either by doing a track walk, being able to just kind of cruise the track, which that was not an option at this race. You're not allowed to do that. So just doing the first lap was really my first time seeing it, and the only way I was able to really get comfortable with it. So after that, after my first lap was over, second lap, I know where I'm going, I'm a little bit more confident, and I can start pushing it a little bit more. So you really can't tell from the video, but just when I was doing this, I just felt more confident. I felt like, all right, the hardest part is over. That's my mentality, is always the first lap's the hardest. That's because you're dealing with the start on the first lap. Everyone's going all out into that first corner, and everyone's kind of just grouped together for a good portion of that first lap. Of course, I wasn't, because I ended up going down and starting at the back of the pack. But if I got a better start and started up a little bit farther, I would be just battling with people constantly for that first lap. And after the first lap's over, especially with a hare scramble, you now know what the track looks like. You can ride it a little bit more confidently. Everyone is now kind of settled into their own pace, so it's not as crazy, it's not as chaotic, and you can start riding your own race because you know where you're going, and you have a better understanding of how to pace yourself and how hard you can push it on some sections. But that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love making these type of videos, just going back and looking at the footage of the race. I think it's pretty entertaining. So I hope you guys find it entertaining too. And if you haven't already, be sure to go check out part 1 of this race. And while you're at it, be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the racing and everything that we got going on the channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.